We are starting to solve absolute value equations and inequalities, but you have to understand the basics of absolute value, so I thought we would just start there. If this were the school, right here, and this was your house, and this was your friend's house, and both houses were 1 mile from the school, that's absolute value. Because there's nobody here that's negative 1 mile. There's just 1 mile to the school from your house, or 1 mile from the school to your friend's house. There's no such thing as negative miles. There are just miles in different directions. Now we tend to think of this as a number line and we're going that way, it's negative. But no, what we're doing is we're going a different direction. So you can't go negative 2 miles. You can't go negative 2 steps. You can't measure negative 1 inch. Everything that's distance is a positive number because you can't go negative 2 steps. So the first thing we need to understand is absolute value is a distance. It's the distance from something to something else, from the school to your house. It's the distance from a given point. Now, when you were in middle school, that point was 0. All you did was talk about the distance from 0, but now we're in Algebra 2, and we're not going to do just from 0. We're going to take the distance from a lot of places. So absolute value is a distance. And a distance is always positive. It has to be positive. You can't go negative 2 steps. You can't go negative 2 miles. So when you were in middle school, this is what the absolute value looked like, right? And the absolute value of 5. We'll see how there's nothing else in there but the 5. It's asking you from 0, how many steps are there till you get to 5? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 steps till you get to 5, isn't there? So the absolute value of 5 is 5. Now let's look at negative 5. All right, how many steps would that be? If we're right here, how many steps would that be? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 steps. We're going in a different direction, but there's still just 5 steps. So absolute value is the distance from a given point. Now in this example, the point was 0. So that was middle school. Now let's go to Algebra 2. What did we decide about things inside of a function? We decided inside the function, it's the opposite. So where are we going to start? We're going to start at negative 2. We're going to start at negative 2. Instead of starting at 0, we're going to start at negative 2. And how many steps are we going to take? Well, we're going to take 8 steps. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so we are at 6. We took 8 steps from negative 2, and we're at 6. Now let's go the other way. We got 2 directions, don't we? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're at negative 10. So there are 2 answers to this problem. Now this is what you need to think about, is if I put this in here, let's put 6 for x. Let's put 6 for x. Is the absolute value of 8, 8? Yeah, that's true. That's a true statement. Well, what about negative 10? Let's put negative 10 plus 2 equals 8. Well, what is negative 10 plus 2? That's negative 8. Is that a true statement? Yes, it is true, because even though it's -8, absolute value means distance, and distance is always positive. So the two answers to this were 6 and -10. Is that true? All right. So we already know what the answers are. The answers are 6 and -10. -10 and 6. We already know the answers. Now let's figure out how the math is going to work. Now the first thing we need to remember is this. One of these is positive and one of them is negative, isn't it? Because this absolute value is distance, and distance is always positive. So inside here can be a positive version, and inside here can be the opposite, the negative version. So how many answers are there? Oh yeah, there's 2. Then how many equations am I going to need? 2. How many answers? 2. How many equations? 2. Good. All right, now let's write our 2 equations, because we said we need 2 equations, don't we? Well, the first equation is x plus 2 equals 8. There was nothing to change. The inside is already, it's sitting there, x plus 2 equals 8. But the other one, now you do not have to write it this way, this is how you think about it. This has to be the opposite of the other one. It has to be the negative of the other one, doesn't it? Well, if I distribute that negative, which is what I'm supposed to do, that's -x minus 2 equals 8, because the inside of the function, it can be positive, x plus 2, and it can be negative, -x minus 2. Now we're going to get really good at just writing that down. We don't even have to do anything. Now we just solve. All right, that's x equals 6, because we move the 2. If it's a positive 2 and we move it, it's a -2. All right, this is -x equals 8. Okay, we're moving it, so that's a positive 2. -x equals 10. You can't have a -x, so we multiply by -1. That's x equals -10. Are those the answers that we got before? Oh, look right here. -10, -10. Positive 6, positive 6. So you now know how to do the math and how to visualize it on the number line. You have 2 problems that need to be done and turned in, and those 2 problems you need to do both the visual on the number line and the math. And should your answers be the same? Oh yeah, they should be. Now, as they say in Trek, boldly go and do your homework.